Bienvenidos a la Ciudad de Mexico racing fans. You're watching the NASCAR Nitro Series on the HSL Diecast Racing channel. And today we're coming to you from the road course at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico City. And today, just like a bulk of these other races in the 1991 NASCAR Nitro Series season, we're testing out new track pieces for the mail-in races. And I was able to get my hands on the original 90-degree MaxxTrax glow-in-the-dark turn. One of the last ones they made since they discontinued the product 10 years ago or so by now. Made famous by the Sub-4 RA channel, and this is your starting lineup. The top 10 finishers of the last race, just for the flea market series, that is. We'll have proper qualifying for the mail-ins, of course. These are your top 10 starting positions in this race. The rest of your starting lineup, Jeff Gordon starting last, Morgan Shepherd starting in the back two, and that car starting last in segment one is Johnny Ironfire. The first time he qualified for anything on this channel, and not without a lack of trying. He's DNQ'd in like 4 different cars before, so congratulations to him. And kicking it off, the rest of segment number 1, we got a lot of pinks and purples in this segment. Johnny Ironfire and E. Marshall in the back. Cole Trickle, your pole sitter based on winning the last race. Jimmy, your first ever Nitro Series winner, right next to him. Johnson Jr., Stinger, Christian Fittipaldi, and Ricardo Roberto rounds out the rest of the segment. And the favorite for this segment has to be Cole Trickle, starting on the pole, was dominant last week. And now the gates are down. Cole Trickle and Jimmy side by side, heading towards the bottom of the ramp. I almost said split track, but then again, this whole track is pretty much split track until the very last segment right before the finish line. And we have no position changes except for Christian Fittipaldi gaining a spot on Ricardo Roberto, as well as Johnny Ironfire gaining a spot on E. Marshall. And look at that start Jimmy got right off the gate. But Cole Trickle, with a bump draft from Johnson Jr., maintains his lead for lap number 2. And now it's time for lap number 3. Once again, no position changed from lap 2 to lap number 3. And once again, Jimmy Johnson with a better start. Can he clear Cole Trickle? He cannot. Cole Trickle, once again, using that inside lane to take the lead over Jimmy when it looks like his lap is over. And we got a traffic jam here on the inside lane. Johnson Jr. and everybody behind him loses quite a few spots. After Johnson Jr. has a tire go down, they pile up, but they don't lose that much track time in the pits. The gates are down now for the final lap. And look at this, side by side for the lead. Dominant once more, and take a look at Stinger now, making a move for second place. It's going to be Stinger to the seconds race after doing almost nothing the whole lap. What an incredible drive for Stinger on that last lap to secure a spot in the seconds race. And now it's time for lap number 2. On the front row, Vito Nightlife, your runner-up of the Tiburon 500. Next to him, Elmo Langley had a rough initial season in 2024, but he's become one of the better flea market cars in the past year. Alan Kulwicki, Tyler Bloodfish. Rusty Wallace was full-time in the stocks, as was Morgan Shepherd. Bubba Wallace and Mopar McNamara round out the rest of your field. And the gates are down. Look at that push from Tyler Bloodfish right off the bat. Sends Elmo Langley to the lead. But look at this. Vito Nightlife is not giving up without a fight. It's going to be Elmo Langley that leads the first lap here. He's got the inside lane now. Elmo Langley continuing the momentum from the mail-in season, plus his top 10 in the Tiburon 500. The gates are down now for lap number 2. And this time it's Vito Nightlife on the outside. Absolutely clears Elmo Langley. And now Rusty Wallace battling for second place, and Tyler Bloodfish throws his hat into the mix. And Vito leads the lap. Elmo Langley salvages second, and Rusty Wallace third. Everyone else has kind of quietly been logging track time in the background. Not really much room for passing here. I'm definitely going to add a third fat track curve when I do this race with the mail-ins. The gates are down for lap 3 now, and they are side by side for the lead. It was too close to tell. We got to see who took this lap. Here they are coming to the finish line on the replay, and it's going to be Vito Nightlife by 2 or 3 millimeters there. And what an incredibly close lap. Elmo Langley and Vito Nightlife, both in those older Dodge Mercury Cyclone, battling it out for the win here in segment number 2. And now it's time for the final lap of this segment. The gates are down, all 8 cars in a tight pack. Some clean, tight racing so far today, and it's going to be Vito Nightlife in the lead. Rusty Wallace now challenging for second place, and it looks like he's going to get it. Clean racing so far, 0 DNFs in the first 2 segments, and we're going to start off segment number 3 with Bill Elliott and Ricky Craven, 2 originals on this channel, as well as Martin Truex Jr. and Jeff Fuller. Carl Recco, the hotshot rookie, starting third in his shiny new Fox body. Marco Andretti, Kenny Schrader, and Front Row Joe make up the rest of your field. The gates are down. Ricky Craven and Bill Elliott side by side. for the first lap. It's going to be Bill Elliott. Takes the lead here in lap number 1. No position changes at all on the first lap of segment number 3. Bill Elliott looks to have this segment on lock right now. Carl Recco right behind him trying to make a move for second place here. And the gates are down for lap number 2. And it's a tight pack for the first 5 cars. Jeff Fuller kind of holding back everybody else. Bill Elliott navigates the first turn. And we got our first caution out of the day. It's an L flip-o for Bill Elliott. Carl Recco was involved. He's off the track. That puts him at a major disadvantage for the last 2 laps. And Bill Elliott's day is over halfway through the segment. A huge blow to his championship chances after getting a podium in the Tiburon 500. An absolute disaster for Bill Elliott, who wrecked from the lead. The bad luck from the 2024 season has followed him back in time. Now, hopefully that bad luck doesn't follow the celebrity guest at his pit box, Milli Vanilli. And you don't want to know who's over at Vito Nightlife's pit box. Well, anyway, the gates are down for lap number 3. And look at that extra pusher. Has Ricky Craven and Marco Andretti running 1-2. That outside lane cannot catch up, even though they're on the inside for that second turn. Martin Truex Jr. still loses a spot heading into the final lap of this segment. Next to him in 4th place is Jeff Fuller. The gates are down now for the final lap. Carl Recco starting in last place, trying to salvage something from his early crash. But look at this. Nobody's going to catch Ricky Craven. Ricky Craven and Martin Truex Jr. 1 and 2. Kenny Schrader, who DNQ'd at Tiburon, is coming in 3rd. And now it's time for the final segment. And on the front row is the legendary Blue Uno in a pack fresh car. Next to him, Darrell Waltrip, Chef Squid, Robbie Gordon, Paul Menard, who won in that very car, AJ Foyt, Texas Terry Labonte, and Jeff Gordon. Round out this segment here, and the gates are now down for lap number 1. And look at that push Darrell Waltrip gets from Robbie Gordon and AJ Foyt. All 3 of those cars are pretty heavy, but look at Ross Chastain on the bottom of turn number 1. Takes the lead, Chef Squid glued to his back bumper. A power move to the front row for Chef Squid. Absolutely blindsided Darrell Waltrip when it looked like that whole outside lane had the advantage. He falls back to 3rd for lap number 2. Some shuffling of positions further back in the field. AJ Foyt gained a spot from it. Jeff Gordon gained a spot from it. And now the gates are down for lap number 2. And it looks like Ross Chastain is stalled, backed up everybody behind him. Jeff Gordon drives off the track. And look at this, Chef Squid flying away from the rest of the field. Robbie Gordon, Paul Menard, and Texas Terry Labonte all move into spots 1 through 4. Let's see what happened to Ross Chastain and the crew back here. Ross Chastain had some mechanical issues. Jeff Gordon off the track and on his roof. I don't see him having a future in the world of auto racing at all. And now the gates are down for lap number 3. And look at this, Chef Squid flying away from the rest of the field. Chef Squid with almost a full track lead for lap number 3. Robbie Gordon 2nd place. Ross Chastain takes back 4th place over Texas Terry. Those are the only 5 drivers to finish a lap. Darrell Waltrip from 1st place earlier in this segment all the way back to 7th. And now the gates are down for the final lap with that extra pusher, Chef Squid and Paul Menard running away from it. Chef Squid with a half a track segment lead over the rest of the field. It's going to be Chef Squid to the main event. Robbie Gordon of the seconds race, and Ross Chastain finishes 3rd. And looks like we've got an L Flippo. This time it's Texas Terry on his roof and out of the race. Only 3 DNFs in all the segment racing. Great job, guys. Great clean racing all throughout the segments. And now the gates are down for the first lap of the 8th race. That's right, we have an 8th race. And Alan Kulwicki handily takes the lead for lap number 1. He's got an extra pusher. Carl Recco is next to him. One of the fastest cars on the circuit. He's not happy about being in this 8th race. And now let's see if he has anything for Alan Kulwicki in that outside row. Carl Recco fighting for position on the outside lane. Passes on the inside of turn number 2. Carl Recco is going to be moving on to the 6th race, as that was actually the 7th and 8th race. There was originally 8 cars in it. 3 wrecks equals 5 cars. And now the gates are down for lap number 1 of your 6th race. And it's the inside lane with that extra pusher. E. Marshall and Carl Recco trying to points race here. But it's going to be Darrell Waltrip that leads the field to green for lap number 2 of your 6th race. And here is your starting lineup for lap number 2 of the 6th race. Darrell Waltrip and E. Marshall on the front row. Carl Recco in 3rd, trying to make a move for the lead here. And he gets a great push off of the start gate. Darrell Waltrip and Carl Recco running away from the rest of the field. Can Carl make something happen here? It's not going to happen. Darrell Waltrip throws a block. Carl Recco in 2nd place, but it's going to be Darrell Waltrip takes the checkered flag, and that'll get him into the 5th race. Jeff Fuller and Ricardo Roberto leading the field down. Behind them, AJ Foyt and Bubba Wallace rounds out your 5th race. And once again, that extra pusher on the inside lane provides the advantage. But now look at this. Jeff Fuller gets squirrely and hops the guard. It's going to be Ricardo Roberto stealing 1st place from the outside inside lane. Outside inside lane. I guess that means the outside lane turns into the inside lane in turn number 2. All right, so Ricardo Roberto down to the bottom of the track already, flying away from the rest of the field for lap number 2. And it's going to be Ricardo Roberto by half the track length. What an epic drive by Ricardo Roberto to put himself into the 4th race. And on the pole for the 4th race is Tyler Bloodfish. Next to him, Christian Fittipaldi, Paul Menard, and Marco Andretti make up the rest of your field. And that extra pusher gives Tyler Bloodfish the advantage once again. Paul Menard and Ricardo Roberto up to 2nd and 3rd. And now it's time for lap number 2 of your 4th race. The gates are down. Once again, a great start by Tyler Bloodfish. Ricardo Roberto beaches himself on the rail, but it doesn't matter. They're going to need a mistake by Tyler Bloodfish. They're not going to get it. Tyler Bloodfish moves on to the 3rd race and a chance to compete for a top 10 finish. That's right, in the 3rd race, your top 2 finishers is your top 10, and they're both going to be moving on to the 2nd race, so there's no extra pusher advantage in the inside lane. And look at this, Ross Chastain running away from the rest of the field. In fact, that whole inner lane is absolutely dominant. Hence the reason we're going to be putting the top 2 finishers in the 2nd race and the main event. And this should not be a problem in the mail-in series because there's going to be 5 segments and not 6. So there should be 6 drivers in each 2nd race and 6 drivers in each main event. And look at those 2 blue cars of Ross Chastain and Tyler Bloodfish bump draft their way into the 2nd race and a guaranteed starting spot at the Charlotte Roval. So now it's time for the 2nd race. Stinger and Martin Truex Jr. make up your front row, followed by Robbie Gordon and Rusty Wallace, and your 3rd race winner and runner-up starting in the back. And now the gates are down. Stinger running away with this. Robbie Gordon trying to make it a race, but it's going to be Stinger and Martin Truex Jr. on the front row. And what do we see here? Robbie Gordon starting on the front row instead of Stinger. I think Stinger might have had a little too much cerveza, or it could just be an error on my part shaking off the rust before the races that really count. Either way, the gates are down. What the hell just happened there? Robbie Gordon on the outside turn just flies into Stinger's windshield. Look at it on the replay. Stinger tries to plow under him for the lead, tosses him up in the air. That allows Martin Truex Jr. and Rusty Wallace to scoot by, make their way into the main event. And here it is, main event time. And your first 4 spots are segment winners Cole Trickle, Vito Nightlife, Chef Squid, and Ricky Craven, followed by Martin Truex Jr. and Rusty Wallace. Cole Trickle and Vito Nightlife are your 1-2 finishers from the Tiburon 500. And these other 4 guys trying to make up as much ground on the front runners as they can. And now the gates are down for lap number 1 of the main event. Cole Trickle and Vito Nightlife side by side heading into turn number 1. And look at that run Chef Squid gets in the corner. Vito trying to mount a comeback from the inside in turn 2. It's not enough. Chef Squid's going to take 2nd place away. That's the only position change, as well as Rusty Wallace and Martin Truex changing positions in the back row. And now the gates are down for lap number 2. Look at Cole Trickle and Chef Squid side by side once more. Now look at this. Vito Nightlife throws his hat back into the mix. No positions actually change, except Rusty Wallace taking 4th away from Ricky Craven. But it definitely got a little dicey there in the middle of the lap. Chef Squid holding on to 2nd place for lap number 3. Past the halfway point of the main event, just 2 laps to go. And the gates are down once more. And now look at Chef Squid, half a car length lead heading into the first turn. But Cole Trickle still too good in the corners. Chef Squid made up a little bit of ground. Cole Trickle leads by half a car length. It could be anybody's race. Such a close lap. We're now down to the final lap of this segment. The gates are down. And look at that push the outside lane. Gets from the heavy casting of Vito Nightlife. And they're neck and neck heading out of turn number 1. Chef Squid gets a run on the inside, and it is too close to tell. We got to go back to the replay, and it's going to be Cole Trickle by a millimeter. What an exciting finish. Such a tight margin. One of the closest finishes for the win we've ever seen in the NASCAR Nitro Series. This is one for the ages in Mexico City. And now we're down here at the podium. Cole Trickle, Chef Squid, and Vito Nightlife. A great race for all 3 of them. Cole Trickle and Vito Nightlife have to have such a huge lead over the rest of the field now. A great day for Chef Squid. His first positive showing in quite some time with a 2nd place finish there. And also Ricky Craven, Martin Truex, and Rusty Wallace, your other drivers in the main event. Great points days for all of them. They're all guaranteed spots at the Charlotte Roval. Qualifying is going to be a grueling, cutthroat competition for sure, and they got a huge break starting in the top 10 positions of that race. And here are your top 10 finishers. Rusty Wallace and Ricky Craven round out your top 5. Martin Truex Jr. got 6th place. Tyler Bloodfish Stinger, Ross Chastain, and Robbie Gordon, who flipped on the last lap of the seconds race. Here's 11th through 20th. They have to qualify. They might DNQ no matter how high they are in points. Elmo Langley, Jimmy, Kenny Schrader, Paul Menard, Marco Andretti round out your top 15. Only 3 DNFs in the entire segment racing. Great clean racing from all these guys. Of course, that was Bill Elliott, Jeff Gordon, and Terry Labonte, your 3 DNFs. Great clean racing from everybody. The sub-4 RA MaxxTrax curve. 0 cars flew off the outside lane. I am happy with this result. You're definitely going to be seeing it a couple times this season. And now a look at your point standings. Cole Trickle with 400 points. 55 points ahead of second place. The distance between first and third is only 3 points less than the distance between second and 10th. What a dominant run Cole Trickle has had so far this season. And now here's 11th through 20th in the point standings. Robbie Gordon, Darrell Waltrip, Rusty Wallace with a top 5 today after his DNF at Tiburon puts him 1 point ahead of Bill Elliott. Jeff Fuller in the middle of the pack like he always is. Ricardo Roberto, Carl Recco, the hotshot rookie, surprisingly in 22nd. I thought with as fast as his car is, he'd be a lot higher right now. But he is 2 for 2. 1 DNF and 1 incident getting thrown off the track. Davey Allison with that extra wide matchbox is in last place. And John Ironfire, my first ever character racer from the sub-4 RA days. First time qualifying for anything on my channel. I guess he just isn't very good because he DNQs no matter what car I put him in. So there you have it. 2 races out of 6 in the NASCAR Nitro Series 1991 season. We got better weather coming up next weekend, so I should be able to film the rest of the season this coming weekend. I'm excited for that. And I'm also excited for the mail-ins. It is not too late to sign up. HSL Diecast, P.O. Box 7, Wing Gap, Pennsylvania. If you're located in the U.S. or Canada, there's still plenty of time to get your cars here for the Daytona 500. Almost a month away still. Heck, even if you're sending cars in from overseas, it seems like the flight from Australia was a bit quicker this year for whatever reason. They might still be able to make it for Speed Weeks. Let me know how you like this track. Let me know whether you want me to add an extra segment of Fat Track at the end, just in a straight line, or add a Fat Track curve. After seeing the finish, I think I might just add another length of Fat Track at the end. Let me know what you want to see. Like, comment, subscribe.